back to the chase with Jace, and it seems like it's been a pretty good minute since we had Marcus Randall back on.
Back in the building. I only missed 1 week. 1 week, man. 1 week.
I'm not going to hamper on it too much, Coach, but glad that you're back. And we still got a lot to talk about, because not only the LSU Tigers are on a little bit of a winning streak right now, but the Willen Panthers got themselves a win too.
Yeah,
this
man,
past
got a
week.
pretty big win there last week.
Yeah.
And we're going to take that momentum as we roll it this week for homecoming. And we got to take on the St. James Wildcats at home, baby.
Yeah, that's big. I mean, E.D. White, like we mentioned before when we were just kind of looking at the schedule before the start of the season, they went undefeated last year, and they were really just a couple plays short of winning a state championship last year. So, and I believe they were undefeated heading into this game against y'all. So that's a huge momentum win for y'all to get that win on the scoreboard.
Yeah, our preseason, our pre-district games, I should say, our pre-district games, man, we knew that we had some heavy hitters, starting with U-High, Lafayette Christian, and Carver obviously too as well, and then taking E.D. White, man, we definitely wanted to play these games because we know that we have a tough district ahead of us and playoffs. So, man, but to be able to get a win against a program like E.D. White and the thing they've been doing over the last few years, man, that was big for us. And, man, it's going to definitely help us power rating as well. I look for this team to really win, almost the rest of their games. If you look at their schedule, man, they've been handling their business up to this point. And like I say, man, that was a big win for us. Man, we had to come from behind, though.
Okay.
Still have some things that, that we got to clean up. In-house, maybe had some turnover there in that first quarter that put us behind the 8 ball, 20 to nothing, and I told the guys at halftime, we was able to get a drive right there, right at the end of the second half. The second quarter going into halftime to be able to score, and I think that would kind of gave us some momentum and gave us everything that we needed to be able to come out the second half and play like we played.
Coach, any shout out to any guys that you feel like played outstanding this past week in order for y'all to get that big win against E.D. White?
Our offensive line, man, they're getting better and better each year. Each week. Ricky had some time, and as you can see, when he got time, he's
watch out.
He's putting it on the money. And then now that the guys are getting time up front, and we're able to move the ball down the field with the passing game, now a lot of those guys have to drop off, and you're seeing him rush for a whole bunch of yards. He ran for about 115 yards there too. So Ricky had a hell of a second half. Ryan Brown, a young wide receiver that came on, he had the game-winning touchdown catch. But he ended up having about 7-8 catches there. He came in, gave us a big spark. And then I want to give a shout out to our defense, man. They pretty much shut them out the whole second half. And then last but not least, our kicker Clayton Tate, man, coming through, made all the PATs. He did all of the kickoffs that we know we wanted to keep it from number 5, and he did a good job of locating them. Even when they started trying to stack him and try to get him to be able to get those kickoff turns, he was able to put the ball in spots to make our coverage real good for the kickoff team.
Yeah, kicker's always been a really good position at Woodlawn High School.
Right. It's been big. Ever since the Barnes, the Barnes brothers, both of them went to Louisiana Tech, and since I've been there, we had some pretty good kickers. So he stepped up, and when the game was on the line, 20-20, knocked in. And even after we got a penalty and we had to kick the PAT from further back, he ended up knocking it in. He went 3 for 3 right there, and that gave us the lead right there late in the ball game, 20-21. And that was big for him.
Yeah, huge win against E.D. White, and now this week y'all have a St. James, and we know what St. James has done over the years, even with Coach Valdez and prior, with Coach Gailey a long time ago. They're still going to be very talented this year. Obviously, Kai Prian, like the LSU commit we're talking about. So it's a big challenge. St. James got athletes. And what have you seen a lot on film when it comes to the St. James football team for this week?
The things that they're doing, like you just said, they have athletes. They trying to get them in space. I've seen them with the running back after you have to go out there and cover those guys. They like to sneak that zone in there, that cutback zone, and try to hit you while you're weak in the box. So those are some things they're doing offensively, defensively. They lining up, that they can run with you. That they are sending their blitzes. So they coming with the 4-man front. So those are some things that we just seen. E.D. White played 4-man front, so we don't have to do a whole bunch of different things for the line blocking wise, because we come into another game with the 4-man front. So I think that's going to be another thing that's going to play into our favor.
And Coach Levante Davis is head coach at the former Scotlandville head football coach, and and now he's the head coach at St. James. So he had success at Scotlandville when they actually made the Dome. Was the head coach.
What's crazy is they kind of did the same thing they did at Scotlandville. That is, he was the coach, and then Davis stepped up after he left, and then now that is, he was coach at St. James, and he moved on to the college ranks, and then Davis right there again to step up and take it over.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Now you mention that. That's pretty unique circumstances. And one more thing before we talk about LSU, homecoming week. So talk about just this week being homecoming, just promoted to be the promoter coach, but to the fans, to the Woodlawn community, come out and support your team, not only to your team, but the entire school as well, because it is homecoming this
week. Man. It's a big week for us, and I'm glad to have some momentum going into this week, coming off a 2-game winning streak. So, the buzz is back up around there. There's a lot of guys that we want to definitely have come out. If you went to Woodlawn, obviously if you played at Woodlawn, we definitely want to have you out there in the building. It's going to be a great atmosphere. There's tailgating going on. It got a lot of different things other than just the game that's going to be going on out there. That's going to be big. It got parades. It got all the pep rallies. There's a lot of excitement going on around the school this week.
Well, not only the wins are coming, and there's a little bit of a buzz around the Woodlawn Panthers, but transitioning, there's also some buzz with the LSU Tigers off the last couple of wins for the Tigers, as they're on the winning streak right now.
Correct.
3 in a row.
3 in a row, baby.
And Coach Brian Kelly said, one is, okay, just one's okay, and then 2, okay, maybe it's, circumstantial, and then 3rd, okay, you're building habits. So three wins in a row for the LSU Tigers, and we gotta go back 2 weeks, because I know you weren't here with us last week, but the Mississippi State win was a big win, obviously, for LSU, because it was the first SEC game in Brian Kelly's career against Mike Leach, and we're talking about defending that offense. How's LSU's defense going to defend this air raid offense? And they play phenomenal.
Lights out.
Matt House deserves a round of applause for what he was able to do.
If anybody had any question in the defensive coordinator position, that was the game to see it. Basically, those guys came out. They looked prepared. They looked ready, and they played with a high intensity. And other like we saw in the Florida State game, man, we saw pretty much a whole different defensive team out there.
Right, and I had 5 takeaways. I actually put an article about this. I'm not sure you saw this one, Coach, but I had 5 takeaways from the Mississippi State game. And the first one was that no matter that performance alone against Mississippi State proved to me that this LSU defense is going to keep at least this LSU team in games all season long.
Correct.
Yep.
And that's what you want, man. And especially when you're trying to get your offense up and gelling, which I think we've at that point to where we are rolling like that. You will want that defense to be able to play stout early in the year, to be able to do that for you and give you a sense of when we get in tough games that we're going to be able to stop some people.
And then there were a couple guys that showed out defensively in that game. It was really the coming out party for Harold Perkins. That was a guy we always hyped about and talked about in the preseason, but we saw that go into fruition with a great performance. 5 tackles, a sack and a half, and then 1.5 tackles for a loss. So he was all over the field. B.J. Ojolari, he showed why he was a preseason All-American. He was all hitting Will Rogers in the backfield all game long. And Jay Ward has played. He's been playing lights out.
And I think he's been doing that pretty much all season. So I'm looking for him to be able to be one of those all-conference guys this year as we keep going through, and one of those guys that we're leaning on to make some big plays when we need them.
And then offensively, it was same. It was kind of like the Florida State game at the beginning of it. Like LSU's trying to
figure it out.
Jan Daniels is still running, escaping the pocket. There are some plays that maybe could have stood tall in the pocket and found the receiver, make some throws.
And I don't know what to call that right now. I don't know if it's and. Maybe I just haven't watched him previously before coming here to LSU. Maybe that's his game.
Right.
Because like I say, he obviously still moves the chains. He still protects the football, still keeps it good down and distance. But there are some times where where you're looking like, okay, well, I think he still could have made that throw right there, or he could have, sitting there a little bit longer. But when guys got that clock in their head and that mental clock in their head, and they feel like they got to get out of there, and then as long as you're still getting positive yards, standing good down the distance, that's what a quarterback job is, more of a manager as well too. And if you could still keep doing the things he's doing with his legs and his arm, because eventually, as we see every game, he do start off doing that, and then what defenses have to start really kind of looking at him, and then you start seeing him hitting guys down the field.
Right.
So it's working. It's being effective, and we still got him rated right now one of the top quarterbacks in the nation.
Yeah, he really is, and it's scary how. He's playing actually pretty good football right now, but it's scary what he could become.
As the season keep going,
right?
And I think that if you look at, I don't like to compare guys like that as much, but when you start looking at our 2019 season, Joe Burrow made some throws, but earlier, he used his legs a whole bunch too.
Yeah, he was.
He used his legs more than what I even knew he could use them at that time. But then then as he got comfortable, the receivers got comfortable, now you started seeing them start to understand the scramble drill a little bit more, and he was hitting those, and instead of taking off the run, he was taking off the by time, and he started hitting those guys down the field. Yeah, so
keep in mind, Jaden Daniels' numbers when he first came to LSU from Arizona State in that 2018 year, the year before Burrow went off, Daniels' numbers are actually way better than Burrow in his first couple of games when he came from Ohio State. So, so he's still getting just really the flow of the offense and getting chemistry with receivers. That takes time, even though it's just one off season. It still takes more than really that to sell on that, especially coming from a different school. But in the fourth quarter, we've seen this from Jaden Daniels. He saved his best, especially throwing the football late in the football game, because he hit. We talk about him trusting his receivers and trying to put faith in those receivers, but he actually did in the biggest play of the football game on a fourth down. He saw that Malik Neighbors was one-on-one in the slot. Neighbors was running, I believe, a slot fade, and he hit him. Hit him. That shows you, okay, then, good things happen when you put trust in those receivers one-on-one downfield.
Yep. And I think that he'll continue to earn that trust and get the trust of those guys and keep moving with it.
So there are obviously some really good results from the 31-16 win over Mississippi State. The fourth quarter, that's when LSU played their best again, against the Florida State. So it really comes down to conditioning, because that's where it really shows. If LSU is able to really dominate like they did in that fourth quarter, it comes to show you that a lot of credit has to go with the strength and conditioning staff for being able for them to be conditioned enough to dominate SEC opponents in the fourth quarter where it matters most.
Yep, and like you say, that's always a part of the game, especially in SEC. And when you start seeing those tight games and some of those coaches using the strategy of trying to wear you down, because they go in there, man, each coach trying to take every advantage. If they see you don't have the depth that they have, or not in shape like they are, and they seeing that you kind of throttling down at the end of games, they're gonna use that. I know Les Miles. He was famous for that, man. We're gonna just run. Gang gonna stay close. Gang gonna stay close. And then at the end of the game, we just seem to have be bigger, stronger, faster still at the end, and you start seeing us pull away from people. So that's that conditioning always big when you start talking about 4 quarters of football.
Well, LSU gets I'm not saying a season-saving win, but it's definitely looks a lot better when you defeat Mississippi State and you're eyeing this SEC stretch down the road.
Right, and we in it now though.
Oh yeah, we're in it now. Starting this week against Auburn. Before we talk about Auburn, we'll talk a minute about New Mexico. LSU did what they really needed to do against New Mexico, but still, I'm not sure if I ever seen a yardage deficit than what I saw this Saturday. So 633 yards for LSU, 88 for New Mexico.
That was 2 first downs?
2 first downs.
Now that yards is one thing. Well, I guess you gotta get yards to get first down.
Right.
Man, 2 first downs in the whole game.
Yeah, and one of them was just.
I watched the game, but I still couldn't fathom that.
Me either.
I read it and was like, hold up, they only had 2 first downs.
Yeah,
that's crazy. So when you see a defense do something like that, and I'm just gonna say that I know it is New Mexico State, and that was Southern University when we played them week 2.
Yeah.
But to see us go out and not play down to the level of competition, and to go in and handle business like that, and not even and just leave no doubt from the beginning, tells me that this is a focused team.
Right, and we've seen that actually be a problem in
Correct. Struggle or make it look like we struggle. I don't know. Early, and then then most of the time we normally go ahead and handle our business, but. To see us just come out from the beginning and say, look, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're doing. I don't even care. Even when we put the subs in, our backups, they're going to come in knowing what to do and play it the right way.
It was another opportunity to work on LSU. I mean, that's what those games are really about. Work on LSU, work on themselves, and that's what they did. I mean, it was clear that Jaden Daniels was going to stay in the pocket as long as he could. And we saw that throughout the football game and the way that, like Coach Kelly said, where that New Mexico's defense was lined up, it was going to give Jaden Daniels those check down passes. And when you have those receivers, you can't get broke taking a profit, and that's what Jaden Daniels did.
Can't get broke taking a profit. I like that. Can't do it. You can't do it. So yeah, I definitely like the way how we played, and we came out and again, man, we still was able to get a lot of other other guys reps in the game that we gonna probably need as we go down and we start playing into this deep SEC schedule right here.
No, it's gonna be deep, and we're definitely gonna get into it. Jaden Daniels finished 24-29 for 279 yards, and Garrett Nussmeier came in and looked pretty good.
He did his thing. Yep. Again, man, because Jaden did go down. I mean, you never know what's gonna happen, so you gotta keep those guys. Got to stay ready. You got to keep them up and ready to go. And when they get in, man, we want those experience and them times to be very valuable. Because if you got to get in there, and we need you, man, we need you coming in like you're a vet, baby. Ready to go.
Yeah, he definitely looked ready, and I don't know if I'm Jaden Daniels or Garrett Nussmeier. Like, who do I really throw the ball to? We got all these weapons, and even with Kayshawn in, it's just with this offense, there's not going to be a feature guy. I mean, it's just what it is, and that's actually going to be one of the takeaways I want to write about. When Besh has 6 catches, Neighbors has 6 catches, Jenkins has 5 catches, Lacey has 4 catches, Mason Taylor has 4 catches, Brian Thomas has 4 catches and a touchdown, and then Chris Hilton has a 51-yard reception.
Right.
So, and then you add in Kayshawn Butte coming back, and the running backs too. There's just so many mouths to feed. It's just this offense where one guy's not going to be featured.
How many balls they playing with?
Only one.
How many balls they playing with? But when you can do that, though, man, you can get a lot of guys touches. Again, that makes defenses have to play honest. We can't double anybody, and that's when everybody can eat.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yep. Defense. The way I see it defensively, there's been a lot of moving around the secondary. A lot of it has to do with saving Jay Ward, and this was one of those games where he was nicked up against Mississippi State and just saving him for this SEC slate coming up. But we had Jard Bernard Converse playing safety, a position that he's never played. He's always played corner and looked good. And then Greg Brooks he's been flying around the football, making plays. Sevin Banks played his first game at LSU this past weekend from Ohio State. You're getting Joe Fouché back from the 4-game suspension this week against Auburn. So you have a lot of guys that can play multiple different roles, and this secondary has proved no matter where we mix and match, it's going to be successful with the DBU, the continuing at LSU.
Right. Well, I mean, and you got that up for that line that's going that's hopefully going to put some pressure on it and make us not have to cover as long, or not have to do as much. But yeah, those guys and I don't even know if you mentioned Major Burns. I know he got kind of nicked up there, but he's just another guy that's in that secondary that's just that we can depend on back there. That's a reliable guy.
Yeah, and speaking of Major Burns, and like we didn't know about this until after the game. That's what Kelly said, and Major Burns didn't play, but he's dealing with a neck injury, and we did see it against Mississippi State, and he's going to be out with that neck injury. They're saying they're giving like a time range about 3 to 6 weeks that he could be out for LSU. So that's the update there. The running backs I thought looked really good in the New Mexico game. Monty Goodwin had the 2 touchdowns in the first half, but he gets hurt in the second half early on, and then Coach Kelly says that's going to be a day-to-day type of thing for Monty Goodwin. But John Emery, seeing him back on the field, getting some rhythm. He hasn't played the game in over a year, so you got to get in
that
rhythm.
That's hard. That's hard, man. You got to get out there and get back used to the game speed. Even though you are practicing, you can't really simulate the game. And, people really can tackle you now and not just thudding you up.
Right.
And it's just a different feeling. But I think that once he gets back in his groove, and like I said, we got so many other weapons where we don't have to depend on him all the way. But we would definitely love to have him back in that rotation.
And we were just waiting for that light to come on for Noah Kane, and then he showed.
He showed off.
With that touchdown run.
And he looked good, man. So a lot of those guys are getting their feet back in there, and some of them guys are transfer guys. Or you go to Emory, he's not a transfer guy, but had to sit out there. So you got those guys coming in, and we're just trying to get our rhythm, trying to get the continuity. Everybody could kind of learn their role. Because I think even when Jonathan Emory, he was there before. He might not still be in the same exact role, So I think that now everybody got to kind of get what their role is and then understand it and then be able to put their, make sure they're doing the best for the team.
And you throw in Josh Williams, who's actually played really good football too. So there's a deep running back crew. Now they don't have one featured guy like they would have Fournette and then like Darrell Williams and all that. But now they have a staple of guys that they can count on. So that's a positive there. Now, good news for LSU. Now I think this is really the biggest takeaway that you can probably take away from that New Mexico game moving forward. I think you found yourself your punt returner. And that's Jack Best.
Oh, right. Yeah, man. Look, I think we might have said that on one of these weeks that
I did.
About Jack Best. Yeah. So, because we knew he had the for sure hands. And I think that, man, that might be his role. Again, we find it at different places, man. And I'm happy for Jack, for Best, man. I played with his brother.
Okay, Blaine Best.
I actually saw him at the LSU Southern game up in the suites, and he made sure I knew that. I said, "Man, I know it's your brother." right.
Yeah, he's definitely fearless. Like he returns some punts like right with a guy in his face. But that's who he is. He's just a fearless competitor. As far as competitors go, I don't think anybody can really top Jack Best.
Right. I said brother, I meant nephew. I said nephew.
Yeah, right. That whole Best family. You got Brett, Blaine. And Jack,
football family. But so that's in his blood, man. Because I know we've had him, kind of at tight end at times, but I've seen him when he was at St. Thomas more.
Cool, yeah.
And his hands, and he's strong, and those some of the things that and confident. So that's what you really need when you back there talking about punt return, and you're not really looking at these guys running down the field at you, and you gotta be able to stand in there and better make the catches, and he showed that he could do it.
Yeah.
So
that's
another
really,
check on the box, man.
Yeah, that's what Brian Kelly's trying to really learn about his team. This is really a first year new coaching staff, new coach, and even though you have the off season, you still have to see how this stuff plays out in game. There's one thing, and you go into practice every day, but
bright
you
lights
gotta
out there, man.
See it in practice. You got to see it in games.
Yeah, the stadium full. That ball don't look the same because you got a background behind you now. It's different.
Yeah, it's different. But LSU's still fine. Yeah, I think they're at a good spot right now with where they're at. Now, here's the next test, and it starts, I believe, from about now to about November is nothing but SEC games. You don't have, no offense, New Mexico or Southern or anybody else, but you don't have any more cupcakes coming up. It's all big boy football coming up for the LSU Tigers, and since they have a loss already, there's really no margin of error coming up, and it starts this week against the Auburn Tigers. Even though Auburn's they've struggled and they haven't looked good, and there's questions about Brian Harsin if he's going to stay and all of that.
Right.
But coming in, this is still a 3-1 football team that you got to play on the road.
Yep, on the road, and that's always been a hard place for us to play. So hopefully history don't tell the tale up in this one, man. I think we both 3-1 going in, though. I think the winner of this game would obviously be at the top of our side right now. Not the number one, obviously Bama over there, but
LSU be 2-0 in the SEC.
Yep, be 2-0 in the SEC though, man. So you'll be still 3-1. You'll be at the top of the food chain on our side, and that's what we want to be, man. We want to be 1-0 every week, and if we can continue to do those things and play well and stay at the top of our side, man. Man, the chips could fall where they may. I think, like you say, it ain't just us playing this schedule. Everybody playing the meat and the heart of the SEC schedule right now. So it's gonna be exciting to see.
Auburn is 3-1 right now. They're coming off a game which I'm not sure who actually wanted to win that game against Missouri and Auburn, but Auburn had some plays that they took advantage of. Missouri thought was going to win the football game, missed a field goal,
right.
And then in overtime, but that the Missouri running back was going to score for the game-winning touchdown in overtime, and he fumbles the football.
Like everything to lose it. They did to lose it, man. I guess the football gods was on Auburn's side that day, man.
So, Coach, just wrapping up here, do you have any predictions for this game against Auburn? And keep in mind, this is some familiar territory because, remember, last time LSU played at Auburn and there was a coaching, but like with Les Miles and Gus Malzahn, that was that game, like, whoever lost would probably get fired, and that's what happened.
Right.
Auburn won the game. Gus Malzahn kept his job, and Les Miles was fired the next day. And this is a situation that there's been a lot of rumors that Brian Harsin, if he loses the next football game, he may be going out from the Plains too. So we'll see what happens.
But yeah, I mean, prediction-wise, I see us going in and like we've been doing. I think that it's going to be one of those. I'm looking at the Mississippi State game, and I'm looking at these guys kind of pretty much the similar game plan going in. I'm looking at us to kind of be tight in the beginning and kind of pull away with it at the end if we can keep protecting the football like we've doing. I'm looking at us getting about 31 points there, and hopefully shutting them down to less than 21.
This is another wrinkle in what may happen, but Auburn does have T.J. Finley, who also played at LSU.
Correct.
But they've been rolling with Robbie Ashford at quarterback, who's more of a runner than T.J. Finley is. So, I mean, Brian Kelly's preparing for both guys, but it looks like Robbie Ashford's going to be the guy.
They two different guys now. I mean, so I mean, you obviously, man, when you playing football, you got to be ready to stop the run anyway. You got to be ready to stop the run and the pass. So I mean, one guy obviously can get out the pocket and escape, which I think I think with the defense that we have, I think that kind of fits to us. I think with the speed and the way that we can run and our D linemen, the way they're moving, I think that fits to us. But I just think that on the other side, if T.J. Finley and them knowing that the passing game will be in effect, that our guys will be able to come on and be able to stop the pass, and we've shown that we can do that, against Mississippi State.
Yeah, well, Auburn, their only loss of the season, it was a old-fashioned butt whipping, what it was, when they lost to Penn State. Penn State put like 41 points on them. It was 41-12. They defeated Auburn, and their freshman running back ran all over Auburn. So, besides that, though, Auburn's defense has looked really good. It's just that one game has been kind of the outlier for them this year.
Right.
But this is still, Auburn defenses, I mean, we know from Auburn they can, years past, they run the football. You got Bo Jackson and Cadillac Williams, and you got Tank Bigsby is a good running back. And then defensively, you know that they've always been stingy on defense.
Been that way, man.
Yep. So big test for this offensive line that's still kind of gelling together.
Yep. And I'm excited to just see the game and to see us back in SEC play, and now we're going to see where we really stand out here.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll check it out, and I'm sure myself and Marcus next week will be talking about it next week. And it's LSU Auburn's always been a crazy game. The earthquake game, Demetrius Byrd with a touchdown. No matter how good LSU is, I think
it was early. Doucette had one maybe right at the end with Jamarcus Russell. I remember they came down here and they smoked them cigars up on our field.
Okay.
I never let that one down, but yeah, it's a little bit of a rivalry there.
Oh yeah, there is. It's going to be a fun one, and then we'll talk all about if LSU does defeat Auburn, it's going to set up a pretty enticing matchup. Now I hate the kickoff time for Tennessee.
Yeah,
they got the game at 11 o'clock in the morning.
I don't know. And they ranked like 11 right now.
Yeah, they're like top 10. I believe they're top 10
right
team.
Right there at it, man. But they got a whole bunch of other good games that day. So I mean, obviously, you fall in there, and hopefully we can get our rankings up now, man. After this weekend, man, we can be looking to get in there and move up them charts.
Yeah. So hopefully, LSU Tigers keep on moving on. Hopefully, they can improve to 4-1, which set up maybe with a road win against Auburn that might put them back in the top 25. So
I think it would.
Yeah.
I think that definitely would, and then I think that set up a real good matchup with Tennessee right there.
Oh yeah, it should be a good one. Even though it was 11 o'clock, and I'm gonna have to wake
good.
up like at 7 o'clock in the morning for that one.
Man. It's all good, man. We can get in. At least we'll know our fate by by 3 o'clock where we stand. Yep.
Right, but we'll be watching it, and next week myself and Marcus will be breaking it down. So whatever happens, the Auburn game, we'll look forward to Tennessee game. Hopefully you enjoyed this Slinging with Marcus again. And if you have any questions for Coach, I know we kind of been back and forth and everything, but a lot of things going on in Gridiron football. But yep, I'm gonna make sure to send y'all a message if y'all have any questions. Let us know. Hopefully you enjoyed. This has been Slinging with Marcus, and until next time, we'll see y'all later.
Boom. See you next week.
This is Jace Lejeune, of course, from the Chase with Jace, and hope you enjoyed Slinging with Marcus there. This upcoming week against Auburn, which is going to be a big week, obviously their first SEC road matchup of the season, should be a big one for the LSU Tigers. Now, we're going to transition into some high school football, and we have a lot of it. So, coming up here for Gridiron Football, we have our Player of the Week, as we usually do each and every week. And you're about to see who our Week 4 Gridiron Football Louisiana Player of the Week is. And a little spoiler alert, it's not a quarterback, it's not a running back. In fact, he's actually a pretty familiar name in the state of Louisiana. Who it is? Check it out and find out. Hello everyone, this is Jace Lejeune from Gridiron Football. I'm here with one of our interns here at Gridiron Football hosting the Player of the Week, Week 4 edition for Louisiana High School Football, and that is Tyler Barrows. Tyler, glad for you to be on the show this week and to do the Player of the Week with me.
Great to be with you, Chase. Honor to be on here.
Yeah, Tyler. It's just another week. This is the 4th straight week that we're done the Gridiron Football Player of the Week, so Week 4 edition. So far, we've had 2 running backs, Week 1 and Week 2, and we had a quarterback last week in Week 3. So we'll see if we go in the same trend right now, or we switch up a little bit. We have to find out. We have to see about that. But before we go into our honorable mentions and our top 20, Tyler, I know you've been posting articles for us here at Gridiron Football, and you've been covering Madison Prep. First of all, I just want to ask you about Madison Prep right now. They're just really trying to get in a rhythm of things right now because they're coming off a loss and a win. They're 2-2 right now. But anytime you can go and beat Parkview Baptist 27-6, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. So what do you think about Madison Prep coming off a win so far?
Great team. I mean, they're really young. That's the thing about them. They lost a lot of guys last year. LSU commit Quincy Wiggins. You lost a guy in Zion Chris, big quarterback. So you now have a guy in Ty stepping into the quarterback position, so it's hard for him to kind of get in that rhythm a little bit, but, it's just all about getting that experience, So I feel like as a team as a whole, they're building each and every week, trying to get better and better, and the coaching staff is doing a very well job with that team, building and getting that, trust and that relationships, that all will come out and, bring them to a successful season, hopefully.
Yeah, keep up with Tyler in terms of Madison Prep. We obviously have the coaches' corner that we do, and you've done a different assistant coach so far every week with Madison Prep. And this week as they're trying to improve to get over that 500 mark at 3-2. This week, as it's week 5 coming up in Louisiana high school football, and also you've been writing articles during the week for us too. I know you're covering like a lot of New York and kind of like that northeast corner of the state. Area. Yep. So talk about some of the articles that you've done recently for Gridiron football.
I mean, I was born and raised in Rhode Island, so not really a big football town area or whole state wise, but it's been great, honestly. I've just been, establishing connections and relationships with these coaches. A couple weeks ago, I contacted good counsel coach, Coach Stefanelli. I had a great conversation with him, talked about his win over Catholic.
Right.
And then, his team came down here. They talked about, came down to LSU and they visited the stadium and everything. So it was a great opportunity for them. But, overall, it's just been a great experience. I mean, I just love, going out and seeing great football every week and establishing these connections with, some of these players, that are going on to the next level in Division I and, hopefully into the NFL. You never know. So,
yeah, you never know.
It's been great. I love it so far.
Yeah, keep up with Tyler. He's doing an excellent job for us, writing stories each and every week on some of the top players in that part of the country. So make sure you go to GridironFootballUSA.com for that. And then, obviously, after the Gridiron Football Player of the Week, we'll talk a little bit more about the bowl game coming up, too. But right now, I just want to say I want to thank all the high school football coaches that sent in their nominee for Louisiana Gridiron Football Player of the Week. So these are all players in Louisiana. This is week 4, and like I mentioned, all of these players that we'll talk about today have been submitted by a coach. And last week we had about 30 coaches submit Player of the Week nominees. This week it's a little bit more. We got about 40. So it's getting pretty popular. So the numbers have increased, and we want to mention everybody. So that's what we do. I know coaches took time of your day when you didn't need to in order to fill this out. So in order for that, we're actually going to pay it forward, and we're going to mention everybody at least as an honorable mention. Then we'll get into our top 20, and then we'll go and talk about obviously the Gridiron Football Player of the Week. And we're going to go with the honorable mentions first, and then we'll go into your countdown, which will get us started. But here's just some honorable mentions. So these are the guys that had good performances that were submitted by the coaches, but they were not in the top 20. But they're definitely deserving of being on this list as an honorable mention. So we're going to get started with Slaughter Charter running back Marion Happy Perry. Had 19 carries for 162 yards and a touchdown. And also, interesting enough, you don't see this stat every day, but 4 2-point conversions he made. So, yeah, you don't really see that stat line every single week.
It's a little something different.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a little something different. Next up, we have a collegiate high school. They're a really new program in Baton Rouge. Their defensive tackle, Calvin Batley, had 6 tackles, 2 sacks. So that was his stat line. North DeSoto wide receiver Cole Corey had 4 catches for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Destrehan running back Shane Lee, he is a load to bring down for the Wildcats. 15 carries for 124 yards and a touchdown for Shane Lee. Westgate quarterback Amaz Eugene. Westgate, the defending Class 4A state champions. And their quarterback had a good performance in a win against St. Martinville. He only threw 7 passes, 5 of 7 for 50 yards and a touchdown, but also had 10 carries for 180 yards and another touchdown. So 2 touchdowns, 230 yards of offense for Amaz Eugene. Catholic Point Capee quarterback Connor Ashe had 5 carries for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. Run the option for the Hornets. And then also he plays both sides of the football. So he had 6 tackles, 1 interception on defense. So 2 touchdowns on offense.
A little bit of everything.
Do a little bit of everything, especially when you're 1A. The coaches need you to play both ways, even the quarterbacks.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Yep, exactly. Port Barry running back Keenan Hardy had 17 carries for 130 yards. Evansville Christian quarterback Rodrigo Balestro completed 13 of 16 passes for 204 yards and 4 touchdowns. Como wide receiver Jalen Domingo had 6 carries for 71 yards, had 2 rushing touchdowns, had a passing touchdown, and then a catch for 9 yards. So he did a little bit of everything for Coach Eric Holden.
Too. Yeah.
Yep. So it's crazy to consider that these were guys that did not make the top 20.
Yeah,
But we had so many. These are just the honorable mentions. McDonald 35 quarterback Santana Price had 202 yards and 4 touchdowns. So impressive stat line for the Ron Eagles quarterback. West Louisiana running back Jatarius Johnson. Listen to this, Tyler. Had 6 carries in the football game for 124 yards and 5 touchdowns on 6 carries.
Pretty much every carry he had, he was
pretty much
into the end zone.
Pretty much.
It was a good game.
Yeah. Karen Crow wide receiver Chance Babineau, 4 catches for 131 yards and a touchdown. Averaged roughly about 30 yards per catch. Had 4 tackles and 2 PBUs on defense. So pretty complete game for Chance Babineau for Karen Crow. Scotlandville quarterback Zay Tset, who's definitely a familiar name in the area, in Baton Rouge area. 15 for 25. Threw over 300 yards, 317 yards, and a touchdown. Had 8 carries for 51 yards going up on the road against West Monroe. Even though they fell just short, still a good effort for Zay Tset. Pope John Paul, running back Blaze Rodriguez. That's a good name for a running back, Blaze. Had 27 carries for 214 yards, 3 touchdowns, had 2 catches for 45 yards. And like we mentioned earlier, for a defensive player, we have another defensive player for Kaplan. Defensive end Remy Broussard, 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, and 9 total tackles in that game. He definitely was a disruptor on defense. All over the field. Beekman Charter running back Devon Gajewski, 13 carries for 147 yards and 3 touchdowns, averaged about 11 yards per carry. Cecilia running back Reg Collins, 6 carries for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns on only 6 carries. So a pretty good average.
6 carries.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you got to make the most of it of the carries, and they do. Lincoln Prep wide receiver Brandon Hurd, 9 catches for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, 3 solo tackles and 1 assist tackle. And then we have a couple more names to go for our honorable mentions. I have to give a shout out to this because I call his game, so I have to give a shout out to that performance. Episcopal running back Reed Chauvin, 171 yards and 3 touchdowns, and the Knights win over the Port Allen Pelicans. I just saw this last second, so if we actually reconstructed the list, he probably would be in the top 20.
Yeah.
But Catholic High running back Barry Remo, 296 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns. This is definitely a top 20 performance. But since I saw this one late, that's just the reason why he's an honorable mention. But he definitely was a top 20 for his performance. And speaking of another guy that probably could have been in the top 20, Archbishop Shaw running back David Kinsey. David Kinsey is actually one of the fastest players in his area, and it showed 7 carries for 206 yards and 3 touchdowns, and a 50-yard touchdown run, a 44-yard touchdown run, and a 79-yard touchdown run. And he didn't play the entire game, obviously, because of the quick touchdowns he had. Put Shaw in a good position in their win against Bonneville. Union Parish defensive back DeAntoine Hopkins, 2 interceptions, including a pick 6 for Union Parish. And then St. Michael running back John Martinez had 170 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. And our last honorable mention, Archbishop Hannon running back Josh Alonzo, 18 carries for 196 yards and 2 touchdowns, and also a catch for 20 yards. So those are your honorable mentions for Gridiron football Week 4. Those are some outstanding performances, Tyler. And it's crazy that they didn't even make the top 20.
Yeah, going back to, like you said, the Catholic game, that running back, I mean, 296 yards, just a game, like, those are video game numbers right there. Like, some of these guys are just putting up a whole, some type of season for some of these kids, in a game. It's crazy like that, but...
Yeah, and that's my explanation for Catholic, because I just saw that last second. We actually came up with the list, like, at the beginning of the day, so that's why he's outside the top 20. That's the only reason why. But speaking of the top 20, Tyler, we want to count it down. So who is number 20 on Week 4 Gridiron Football Louisiana top 20 players?
At number 20, we have Marcus Clark, running back Kenner Discovered.
So Marcus Clark had 13 carries for 201 yards and 3 touchdowns on offense. And like I said, like a lot of smaller schools, you play both ways. So he played defense too, had 8 tackles too. So 200 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, 8 tackles, and was a difference when of Kenner Discovery, the Swamp Owls getting a win over Patrick Taylor. So Marcus Clark for Kenner Discovery is number 20. So who's number 19, Tyler?
At number 19, we have Kobe Jones, defensive end, Terrebonne.
We're going to give up to the defensive guys. It's not just the offensive guys.
You guys should go with the defensive
Yeah, right. So, especially at defensive end for Kobe Jones, he had 5 tackles, 3 assists, 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble in a 22-17 win over HL Bourgeois. So he was pretty much unblockable all night long.
Yeah, he was doing it all. I mean, 5 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, the forced fumble, doing everything.
Yeah, 2 sacks. I mean, he was a menace for sure in the backfield against HL Bourgeois. Who's number 18, Tyler?
At number 18, we have Edward McInnes, quarterback Sophie B. Wright.
Edward McInnes is a dual threat based off his numbers. If you see 16 out of 25 for 235 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also ran the ball 12 times for 152 yards and another touchdown. So talk about a 4 touchdown performance. Add in about precisely 387 yards of offense and a 36-8 win over Higgins. And Sophie B. Wright, very quietly, is an undefeated football team right now at 4-0. Okay. So, and a lot of it has to do with Edward McInnes at quarterback.
We're looking forward to seeing them for the rest of the season.
Oh, yeah. Keep an eye on Sophie B. Wright this year.
Sure. Yep. And then at number 17, we have Royal Williams, wide receiver, Ellender High School.
Talk about taking advantage and getting the most of opportunities. Royal Williams only touched the football 5 times, but 3 of them went for touchdowns.
Okay.
He had 1 carry for 65 yards and a touchdown. Had 4 catches for 148 yards and 2 touchdowns. So 3 touchdowns off of 5 touches of the football, and over 200 yards of offense, and a 52-7 win over Morgan City. And I believe that was their first victory of the season. So and Royal Williams came in with a big performance when they needed the most.
Definitely helped them out on that one for sure.
Yep.
And then at number 16, we have Harlem Berry, running back, St. Martin's Episcopal.
Well, if you're an LSU football fan, if you're a big recruiting fan, keep an eye on St. Martin's Episcopal running back Harlem Berry. Only a sophomore.
Alrighty.
LSU already offered him. And for good reason why, what he can do. He had 9 carries in the football game. And when you have a guy like that, you make sure, okay, once we're ahead, make sure we take him out because we're going to need him for the whole season. 9 carries, 138 yards, and 4 touchdowns off of 9 carries in a 47-6 win over Cy Academy. And St. Martin's Episcopal is another team that's flying under the radar right now as an undefeated football team.
That's good for them, man. Definitely looking forward to seeing them for the rest of the season.
Yeah, keep an eye on Harlem Berry. LSU's already offered him already.
I mean, and he's got 2 more years, so
yeah, he's only a sophomore.
We'll see him for sure. Number 15, we have Glenn Cage, running back, Central High School.
Yeah, senior running back for the Wildcats. It was a bounce-back performance for them after losing last week, the week prior. But their senior running back was the bell cow for them. 19 carries for 211 yards and 4 touchdowns. Had 1 catch for 58 yards and a 51-21 win over East Jefferson. So big performance for Glenn Cage. Gets a 5A school, 4 touchdowns, over 200 yards rushing.
Big win. And at number 14, we have Jaden Voisin, running back, Bell Chase.
You can make an argument that Jaden could be probably even higher on this list of what he did this past week. 31 carries for 327 yards
He was working with this week.
and 4 touchdowns. A workhorse indeed. And a 35-30 win. They played a good football team against Salmon. This is a playoff team a year ago in the 4A level. And right now, Bell Chase, this is a team that nobody really gives much praise and credit to as much as they really should be for Coach Myers. They're 4-0 right now, and they've made the playoffs, I believe, the last 4 or 5 years in a row. So impressive. Jaden Voisin, running back for Bell Chase, is at number 14.
All right, and at number 13, we have safety Cam Reed, Scotlandville.
Another Scotlandville player made this list. Second Hornet. This time from the defensive side of the football. 11 tackles, 2 assisted tackles, so he had 9 solo tackles through the game, which is a lot for a safety. 1 tackle for loss and a fumble recovery, return for 65 yards and a touchdown.
That's a big one right there.
Yeah, I think that put the icing on the cake as far as him being number 13 on our list. And a big effort. I mean, it did come in a loss, but they went on the road up north against West Monroe and put up a great fight, 31-28. They fell just short, but efforts of, we were talking about Cam Reed and Zay T-Set, efforts like that helped them make it a really good football game.
Yeah, I've seen the Scotlandville team before. They played Madison early this season. Great quarterbacks, Zay T-Set, but they also have a great defense. Speaking like safety Cam Reed, they just make really good plays. They're fast, they're electric. They just bring that energy. But great performance definitely for Cam Reed. Definitely looking to see him for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I know that unfortunately Madison Prep on the wrong end of that one.
Yeah, that was a tough game for them, but they bounced back this week and ready for the rest of the season. So
we'll see. Well, Will Lampier actually covers a lot for Scotlandville, so he's Scotlandville's main guy. So both sides for Gridiron football were involved for that game. Let's move on to number 12. We're going back to the most flashy position of them all, the quarterback position.
The quarterback position, number 12, we have Preston Welch, Terry Lane's Catholic.
This is a name that's flying really under the radar as far as quarterbacks. Now, we know about how deep the quarterback room is this year with guys like Arch Manning, Ricky Collins, and we've mentioned all these guys. Actually, last week, a sophomore quarterback was their top player. He's a sophomore, and he's going to be really good for Oak Grove. This is a junior that's really good, too, that you need to keep an eye on. Terry's Catholic quarterback, Preston Welch. He's a junior. Completed 13 of 18 passes for 356 yards and 4 touchdowns. And they did it against Notre Dame. I mean, not the Fighting Irish, but the Pios in Crowley. And anytime you can throw 358 yards and 4 touchdowns against a program like Notre Dame led by a Hall of Fame coach and Louis Cook, that's saying a lot. That's a big performance for Preston Welch, and that's why he's just outside our top 10. And speaking of just outside the top 10, who was our number 11 spot?
Last one, number 11, P.J. Martin, running back, De La Salle High School.
De La Salle running back P.J. Martin. We all know De La Salle loves to run the football. They have a big offensive line. They got really good running backs. In fact, the running back at Florida right now, Montrell Johnson, was a running back at De La Salle, but he's running the football for the Florida Gators right now. We always know that De La Salle can run the football. P.J. Martin's another senior, tough running back to bring down. 36 carries for 283 yards and 3 touchdowns. Had 3 kickoff returns for 34 yards, which you add that total, that's 39 touches for 317 yards against St. Charles Catholic, which is the defending state champion when he ran for almost 300 yards against. That makes it even more impressive considering that they ran against one of the most disciplined teams out there in the state in St. Charles Catholic.
That's definitely a big game right there, especially going against a defense like that,
Yeah.
Especially, you calling in your guy for big games like that, Those are the guys you definitely look out and you say, we need you this game, you need to you need to do something big, show us.
Yeah, he was the workhorse.
He was the workhorse. I mean, you touch the ball, 30-something times a game, You're doing it all. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're running, catching, doing whatever. You're doing it all for the team. So it's a big win, big game for him. Yeah,
De La Salle is now 4-0 after that 27-14 win over St. Charles Catholic. Now we go inside our top 10 performers.
All right, to the top 10. At number 10, we have Joseph Riley, quarterback, MLK, Martin Luther King High School.
Yeah, Martin Luther King quarterback. Joseph Riley is actually the son of the head coach, Joseph Riley Sr.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, so we have to put him in our top 10 because of what he did in a shutout win over McMain. Counted for 5 touchdowns, over 300 yards of offense, and he led an offense to put 50 points on the scoreboard. Yeah. So Joseph Riley is number 10 after a big performance from Martin Luther King to get the victory.
Definitely. And at number 9, we have Tylen Cooper, wide receiver, Eunice.
Familiar name on this list. He was actually on this list, I believe, week 1. He was one of our top performers then, and he's, again, another top performer now, doing it again. So showing that it was not a fluke the first time around. 9 catches for 128 yards and 1 touchdown. Also a carry for 29 yards, and then had 2 interceptions for 148 return yards, including 1 return for a touchdown for 85 yards. All of that accounting for roughly on offense and defense, probably about 200-something yards and 2 touchdowns, 1 on offense, 1 on defense, 2 interceptions, and a 44-20 win over Northwest. I'm going to try to see if I can actually catch my breath after saying this down.
You can't ask a guy to do more than that, man. When you do it all on the defense, the offense, like, what more can you ask out of a guy, you know? There's nothing more you can really ask him to do, you know? You go out there and did what he needed to do and got the win.
And it's crazy, we got 8 people in front of that.
Yeah. That was only number 9. We still got 8 more, so we're ready. At number 8, we have Adam Parker, quarterback, St. Mary's High School.
Senior quarterback for St. Mary's, a great athlete for the Tigers at St. Mary's up in Natchitoches. Only 13 passes, but completed 9 of them for 210 yards and 1 touchdown. Here's the kicker. He also had 13 carries for 107 yards and 5 more touchdowns, which means he had 6 touchdowns and a 42. Count for all the points, all the touchdowns for St. Mary's and a 42-14 win over DeQuincy. So
that's a dual threat quarterback right there. I mean, 4 touchdowns rushing, 1 in the air, you know.
Yeah, 6 touchdowns. Wow. And then you count for all the touchdowns for the team. So, you have to put him in a top 10 performance like that.
And at number 7, we have Barrett Newman, linebacker, Parkway.
Another guy that played both ways, and it's even more impressive he's doing it at the 5A level. That's something you see that at a 2A, 1A, but you don't really see that a lot in 5A, which he did. 19 tackles. Was all over the field. Like every play, they named his name. 19 tackles and a sack. Had 5 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown, and moved the chains on 3 of those 5 carries. So he impacted the game on both sides of the football for Parkway.
Big game.
So that is number 7. We go into number 6.
Number 6, we have Jackson Wiggins, running back, Delcombe.
Yeah, Delcombe is another for Jackson Wiggins. Even a bigger performance. 19 carries for 317 yards and 4 touchdowns and a 42-12 victory over Lake Arthur. Delcombe's now 3-1 on the season, and I think a lot of it has to do with Jackson Wiggins with a couple back-to-back standout performances. 317 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns.
That's crazy, man. You can put 300 rushing just in one game alone, you know. Yeah, that's crazy, you know. Some people,
19 carries, too. It wasn't like he carried the football 50 times.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a lot. You know, sometimes you see that's 30-some carries. But 19 for 300 yards, I mean, wow, it's insane.
Yeah, 4 touchdowns off those 19 carries. And we will kick off the top 5 with a very familiar name in Louisiana.
Yeah, big name. We got number 5, Trey Holly, running back, Union Parish.
So, I think there was some kind of record entering that week.
Yeah, he might have broke a record.
Yeah, I think he might have broke a record this past week. Yeah, if y'all don't know, Trey Holly's a Union Parish running back. He is committed to LSU right now, a senior running back. And he's been playing since probably the beginning of time for Union Parish. Since his 8th grade year, I actually saw him play when he was playing at in a semifinal game against St. James. So I saw him as an 8th grader. So this past Friday, he needed about 247 yards to beat the all-time Louisiana high school football rushing record to be the Louisiana King, and he did. He had 250 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns, setting the record which breaks Nick Brissett, who played running back at U-High and at LSU. He had the all-time leading rushing record in Louisiana high school football. Trey Holly just beat the record. Now he has over 8,704 yards rushing in his career. Absolutely insane. And also, of course, in dramatic fashion, he beat the record on a touchdown run.
Oh,
so
awesome.
that puts the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
62-12 win against Bishop. We'll actually try to set up an interview over Zoom for the Chase with Jay show with Trey Holland to get his thoughts on that big time performance.
Yeah.
But what a performance it was in a 62-12 win, and a historic performance to say the least for the star running back for Union Parish, and as he cements himself as one of the greatest running backs, if not the greatest at all time in Louisiana high school football.
Yeah, I mean, when you set a record like that, you establish yourself as a household name, and definitely a name in Louisiana high school football for sure.
Future LSU Tiger,
Yes, sir.
Trey Holland.
I can't wait to see him in Tiger Stadium on Saturdays. That's going to be a big one.
Oh, it certainly is, and he's the rushing football king in Louisiana. It's
Yep.
crazy. We got 4 more ahead of that.
That was just number 5. We still got 4 more, so we'll get into it. At number 4, we have Ben Taylor, quarterback, Airline High School.
Only a sophomore.
Yeah.
Sophomore quarterback for Airline. 26 of 37 for 412 yards and 7 touchdown passes.
Whoa.
And guess how many points they put on the scoreboard against Benton? I think the scoreboard just stopped working at some point,
Yeah, we should put 7,
because
like-
when it's 75-59,
Wow.
that was the final score when Airline defeated Benton. And he was the quarterback that helped them put 75 points on the scoreboard when you throw for 7 touchdowns. So a performance like that is going to have to top. That's the only type of performance that can top Trey Holly.
That's an offense battle right there. It's like when you said that score, I was thinking, like a college basketball.
You're
game or
right.
something.
That's a college
75 to
basketball
59.
score.
No, it really is. But I mean, that's an amazing game. You like to see, especially if you're an offensive guy. You definitely love to see those games. Guys just airing the ball out. Run game is dominant. You can't do nothing about it. Just stop it. But that's an awesome game. Especially to win like that, 75-59.
Well, very huge. And Tyler, just want to say, these top 3 performers, we all had the debate for being number 1.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
any of these 3 guys, we could have easily seen be number 1 on this week's list.
All right.
So we're going inside the top 3. Who made the top 3?
All
Tyler,
right.
start us off.
At number 3, we have Jalen Williams, running back, Mangham High School.
Yeah, Mangum High School. Yeah,
Sorry about that.
no, you're good. You're good. Mangum High School up in North Louisiana. The Dragons is what they called their mascot. And it was a blaze of a performance for Jalen Williams. 18 carries for 285 yards, 5 touchdowns. I'm not done yet. 2 catches for 95 yards and another touchdown. And then you have a 73-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. So if you do the math, so if you add it all together, so that's 285 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns, 2 catches for 95 yards and a touchdown, a 73-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. That is 453 yards and 7 touchdowns in
Did
one
it
game.
all. That's another guy.
And it's not a quarterback, it's a running back
Mhm.
scoring 7 touchdowns
Yeah.
in one game. Offense scored 60 points on the board. And you said, okay, they probably didn't play anybody that good. Well, they did. They played General Trask that had back-to-back quarterfinal appearances in the playoffs. So, yeah, it gets a really good competition.
Yeah.
Jalen Williams, wow, what a performance.
Big game. I mean, 7 touchdowns just in one game, Some guys don't even put that in the season. So just do that in one game, That's crazy.
Somebody doesn't. There's a lot of people that don't put up 453 yards and 7 touchdowns in a season, much less one game. Incredible video game numbers.
Yep.
And number 2 and number 1, I'm going to just spoil it for you as far as what position is going to be this week. We had, let's see, so far 2 running backs. One of them's a freshman from St. Edmund. Another one is a junior from Ouachita. We had a quarterback last week that's a sophomore from Oak Grove. Now we have a wide receiver.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say who it is, but we have 2 wide receivers at number 1 and number 2.
Yep.
So who is at number 2?
At number 2, we got another airline guy. Number
Yeah.
2, Daxon Chavez, wide receiver.
Well, when your offense puts up 75 points, we're going to have more than one person
Yeah.
for that team.
Someone else is out there doing something,
Well, 5 of those 7 touchdown passes went to Daxon Chavez.
Oh, wow.
He had 9 catches for 233 yards and 5 touchdowns in the 75-59 win over Benton. Daxon Chavez is a senior. He's been offered by Centenary College. And the thing about receivers, you only can really feed off how many times they throw it to you. Yeah. So we better take advantage of it.
And he took advantage of it. Of every one of them.
Wow. 5 touchdown catches.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's an awesome game.
233 yards, 9 catches. Wow. Unbelievable. Talk about a quarterback receiver being on the same page right there.
Yeah, they were on it all game, all night.
So 2 airline players were in our top 4. Amazing. So this is week 4. Week 4, we had, like I said, 2 running backs, 1 quarterback. We have a receiver. Now it's been mostly underclassmen. It's a senior, and it's not like this no-name guy at number 1. It's a huge name in Louisiana. So Tyler, who is our Gridiron football week 4, which is voted by we're bringing all these answers by the coaches coming in here. Who is our Gridiron football week 4 Louisiana player of the week?
All right, at number 1 we have Omarion Miller, wide receiver at North Caddo.
North Carolina wide receiver Omarion Miller is our number 1 player for week 4 Gridiron football player of the week in Louisiana. Why, you ask? Well, not only the fact he's committed to Nebraska right now, and Mickey Joseph, who is actually interim head coach in Nebraska, had a good relationship. He was at LSU as a receivers coach. So we'll see if he stays committed to Nebraska. But there's no doubt what he does on the football field. 7 catches for 243 yards and 3 touchdowns. Actually had more yardage than Chavez did on 2 less catches. So he had 7 catches, 243 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He also had a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. So let's see. 4 touchdowns and let's just say close to 400 yards of offense by himself, and accounted for all of the team's points in the game, all the touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, and they played Neville High School, which is a powerhouse in Louisiana high school football. 50-24, they lost the football game, but Omarion Miller did put on the show from the fans watching that football game. 4 touchdowns, over 300 yards of offense, close to 400 yards of offense, and he only touched the football probably about 8 times the whole game. So that is insane. Omarion Miller, congratulations, Omarion. I know that's just one of the many accomplishments you've had so far of your high school career, but here's another one as you're a week 4 in the whole state of Louisiana Gridiron football player of the week. Tyler, what do you think about this list overall?
I mean, there were some numbers. I mean, some of these numbers, we were talking video game numbers, you know. But definitely cool to see a wide receiver get some attention, you know. Like you said earlier, you know, 2 running backs, you have 1 quarterback, you know. It's always nice to get that wide receiver, you know, kind of mentioned, because, you know, those are the guys that, you know, they do it all a lot, you know. The toe tapping, you know, going up, making the big plays, you know. You have to give love to wide receivers sometimes. So that was nice to see, you know, a guy like that.
Yeah, we spread the wealth here, Gridiron football, with a couple of running backs. We do include a quarterback. We have a receiver. So Omarion Miller, we may or may not. We're trying to work it out, but we may have an interview with Omarion and Coach Kavanaugh, because we'll try to do an interview with the Player of the Week. We did that with Cordell Sermons when he won the Player of the Week 2 weeks ago. So we may bring that back for the Chase with Jace. So this should be a loaded show this week for Chase with Jace, which will be on Wednesday. Tyler, wow. Omarion Miller, number 1 for Louisiana Gridiron Football Player of the Week. Coaches, thank y'all so much for sending in your nominee. We really do appreciate it. And like I mentioned, we know you take time in your day to do this, so we're going to make sure your player is mentioned, whether it's in the top 20, top 10, top 5. He will at least be an honorable mention if you send in your player of the week. We'll make sure to mention everybody, and we do. So Yeah, we appreciate it. 40 coaches sending a Player of the Week nomination. We obviously really appreciate it. And then we encourage you to continue to do so. You'll receive an email from me and a text message from me with the Gridiron Football Player of the Week nomination form. So we're getting into district play week 5. So we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the football season. So we're right in the thick of it, right in the middle of things. I'm excited to see some high school football coming up as we are in the middle of the season. It's crazy that we're entering district play and it's already week 5.
We're already started the first week of October. It's crazy, you know. There's going to be some good football coming up for sure, you know, with this district play. Can't wait to see some of these games, for sure.
Speaking of good football, our Gridiron Football Bowl game is going to be at the end of December. December 30th is the actual game. Once again, the game will be in Orange Beach, Alabama. Right now, we have 2 commits to the bowl game so far, and we're going to start to get more and more as we rack up. But players, if you received a notification, that means you received an invite to the Gridiron Football All-American game, because they're going to be posting round 2 of invites later this week. And I would highly encourage it. If you want to play in the football game, like we mentioned, it was like 92%.
Yeah, 92%, you know, get a college offer from this game, you know, at least one. You know, it's honestly a great experience, you know. It's not only just about, you know, getting one more opportunity to, you know, just play a game, but also, you know, this experience, you know. There's going to be a couple former NFL NFL players, college players, you know, there to kind of tell their story, kind of, and, you know, say their part, you know, give their story kind of to the kids. So, you know, it's a great opportunity and great experience, you know, to be a part of it, you know. So, it'll be definitely a great weekend for all the kids and especially the coaches, too.
Well, not to mention, everybody gets to play against the best of the best around the country. So we've seen a lot of the best players in the country have been invited to play in the bowl game, and we're looking forward to having that December 30th. If you're a player that gets invited to this game, I strongly encourage for you to accept and play in the football game, because we're taking first come first serve. So we're inviting a whole lot of players, but you might not get guaranteed a spot if you don't sign up for it right now. So if you get a notification, DM us on Twitter, just saying, hey, I'm committed to playing the bowl game. I want to play more in the bowl game, or want to get more information about the bowl game. Just send us a DM with a message, and we'll send you an email with all the information you need to know in regards to the bowl game and how to get involved with it and how to play in the bowl game. So if you get notified from us on Twitter that you're invited to play in the bowl game, I would highly recommend to jump on that opportunity and do not wait. So DM us on Twitter again if you receive an invite, and we'll email you everything you need to know in regards to how to play in this year's Gridiron Football All-American Bowl game. So that's everything I got to say in regards to that. Tyler, you have anything planned going on this week for Gridiron Football? Anything you're planning on doing this week? I know Massive Prep playing this week, covering that. Obviously, you still got Down in the Roughs that you do throughout the week. And like we said, that Northeast corner of the United States. And just preview everything what may come up this week for you.
Definitely going to be going to the game this weekend for Massive Prep. We got a game against, I think it's Friendship Mentor Academy. I think it's a away game as well. But, just looking forward to that game. I know we'll be doing some Diamond in the Roughs on a couple more players. One of my, my high school head coach, I actually did a school spotlight in them, so I've been reaching out to them, trying to get some of those guys, that just, it's Rhode Island football, up there, it's just not I wouldn't say a big thing, but college football, isn't like what it is down here, down south. I mean, it's a culture, it's different, I just don't know how to explain it, but, I want to give attention to definitely those guys up there in the Northeast area, they just don't get that attention like, you do down here because you have so many different schools and all that, so definitely be doing that. And then I'll be reaching out to a couple schools, actually, a couple schools in New Jersey, and then a couple New York schools, so see if we hear back from them. I think St. Aramis in New York, be looking to hear from the head coach from there, and yeah, we'll see if we go from there.
Yeah, we'll see. And one more thing about the bowl game, we got obviously these are high school seniors, but we have a new wrinkle in it too. Is that we'll actually invite a lot of kids to the junior high game, which you'll be promoting a lot too.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, so I mean, I know it's the first year Gridiron football will be doing the Junior All-American Bowl game. You know, it's a chance for any 7th and 8th grader, from anywhere across the country, to get an opportunity, to obviously play in this game, but also to, see some of these, high school guys, to kind of get that experience of, what's the expectations like, in the oncoming future of, high school football, but, also what the kind of expectations are, you kind of, get that experience of, practice, what it's like at that level, the 7-on-7, I know a lot of kids do that nowadays, but, trying to actually getting at that level and seeing some of these kids, seeing these high school guys play, it's a once in a lifetime experience. Obviously for all these high school kids, but also for the middle school game as well. You'll never get this chance again, so might as well take advantage of it and definitely look forward to it. Be looking for any 7th and 8th graders for that.
Well, it's just kind of like the Players of the Week is like you earn your way onto this list with your play. Well, it's kind of like you earn your way onto the show with how you'll be able to conduct your work. And Tyler, you've done an excellent job for us so far with the articles and going to games and covering everything for us. Keep up the good work. And like we had Will on a couple weeks ago, we have you now. So, yep, this is kind of like also a little extra motivation for the interns too. So if we see you working out there and doing a good job, you're going to be on the shows with us. So that's a little bit extra motivation too. So Tyler, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining me today on Week 4's Gridiron Football Player of the Week. And now we have more in store for you. And make sure, I believe Thursday, Friday, around that time, coaches, you'll get at the latest Saturday, but you'll get a notification from me how to send your Player of the Week for Week 5 coming up. The deadline to send in your nomination is on Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. If you have a standout player, make sure to include him, and we'll mention him and promote him even more throughout the state of Louisiana. For Tyler Barros, I'm Jess for Gridiron Football, saying so long. We'll see you later. Make sure to tune in to the Chase with Jace on Gridiron Football's YouTube channel and Facebook page. But until then, for Tyler Barros again, I'm Chase Lejeune saying so long. We'll see you next week for Week 5, Gridiron Football Player of the Week. Congratulations to Omarion Miller for being our Player of the Week for Week 4.
Congratulations, Omarion.
See y'all. Well, yep, if you watched the whole segment and if you saw yesterday for Gridiron Football who our Player of the Week is, yes it is Omarion Miller. North Cal High School wide receiver, current commit to Nebraska. He is our Week 4 Gridiron Football Louisiana Player of the Week. And if you get our Player of the Week, well, not only you are number 1 Player of the Week on our website, how we put the story on, we also get the interview, the Player of the Week. So check out my interview with Nebraska commit and also North Caddo High School wide receiver, Omarion Miller. Check it out.
Oh, yes, sir. A
You all right?
Yes, sir. I'm straight now.
Okay, you're straight? All right, man. That sounds good. So the reason for this whole deal is we've started something here at Gridiron Football, and we have a Player of the Week each and every week in Gridiron Football for the whole state of Louisiana. And I just want to tell you, Omarion, congratulations. You're the first one to hear it, but you are a Week 4 Gridiron Football Louisiana Player of the Week. So congratulations, man, on that honor. So it's pretty incredible knowing that this talented state from top to bottom, that you were the top player this week for us. So congratulations on your performance. I know you probably wanted to win against Neville, but talk about your performance and grade, how you really played in that Neville game.
I had 7 catches, 243 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 98 kick.
Yeah, 98. Yep. So, and I believe that accounted for all the team's points, really, right? All the touchdowns for y'all?
Yes, sir.
Yep. So, and what does that mean to you, knowing that you can go up? I know that y'all are a 2A school, but for you to go up and play that competition against Neville High School, which is a powerhouse in Louisiana, and put up that type of show against them?
It means a lot to me. Just when I'm on the field, I don't put nobody above me. I just go out and kill their game.
Yeah, and I guess what was your favorite play from that game? You had the 3 touchdowns. You have the 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. What play stood out to you the most? Was it the kickoff return for a touchdown? If you had to choose.
I'd probably say the catch where I was following and I caught the ball between the 2 defenders.
Okay. So 2 guys are on you. You jump, I'll jump both of them and get that big catch.
No,
Yeah.
actually, I was falling to the ground.
Okay.
I was on the ground.
Okay. Man. So yeah, you can do pretty much about everything. We know that. We know what your physical ability is. We know that you can outrun people. You can catch a screen and take it 80 yards to the house. You can out jump guys, and you do freakish things. Now, what is your most favorite type of catch? Would you rather make like a short slant or a screen and take it 89 yards to the house, or would you rather catch like a jump ball and out and boss somebody? So, what is your preference?
I probably say jump ball. I love catching jump balls.
Yeah. Okay. I love that, man. And yeah, just talking about what's going on right now with the team. I know y'all coming off the loss, but besides that, y'all playing pretty good football right now. What do you like about this year's football team in North Caddo?
Yes, sir. This year team, I think we got the chance to go all the way. We had a big loss last week, but we got off of it and we on to the next. So, just trying to keep that winning mentality over here.
Yeah, next game up. And what is the next game up for y'all this week?
West Ouachita.
Okay, West Ouachita. Okay. Anything that you want to take the next step in doing just these next couple of games and really throughout the rest of the season?
Not nothing I can just think of right now.
Yeah. Definitely. And right now, I know you have a really good relationship with Mickey Joseph who's now the interim head coach in Nebraska. So what do you think about that? And for him to get that opportunity to be a head coach at Nebraska right now?
Oh, I think it's good. Me knowing him for a long time, I think he gonna do a good job at it. Being the first black coach at Nebraska. So I think he got a lot on his hands, and I think he gonna do a pretty good job.
Yeah, I'm happy for him too that he's getting an opportunity. And what is your message right now to Nebraska fans? And I know they're pretty excited that you're committed to them right now.
I'm ready to come and dominate down there. That's it.
Yeah, we're seeing some Louisiana guys over there right now doing their thing, like Trey Palmer doing his thing right now in Nebraska, and you got the coldest. I know that you probably know the coldest too from Green Oak. So I know he's not playing this year, but what's your relationship? You talked to Trey and talked to the coldest and those guys up in Nebraska a lot?
Oh yeah, I talk to them a lot. They tell me a lot of things I need to know. Like what's going on, like right now. Just they keep a good message in my head. Just keep doing me.
Yeah, man, definitely. And I know that the goal is right now you're really focusing on your senior season, and that's why you decide to commit before the season in order to focus on your senior season. And right now, what do you think about the stretch ahead? Any games coming up that you're really excited to playing against, like a game like Neville, a game that you're really excited about coming up that you're excited about?
Yeah, I'll probably say like Calvary, since I never really played them my whole high school career. It's like they always been a good team around in the Shreveport area. So like I'll probably say Calvary. I'm ready to play them guys.
Yeah, man, and really talk about the offense. I know a lot of storylines, a lot of headlines revolve around you, but really like KJ's an outstanding football player. And there's a lot of other guys on this offense. Give a shout out to some of those other guys that probably don't give as much of the love and as the press as you do.
Oh, I mean, we got a lot of stars on our team. They can just really just dominate and get the ball. Jaquay, Mason, Fu, Rodney. We got a lot of young guys that can really, just do a lot of things with the ball. Aiden, the quarterback, he's not really a quarterback, so that's why he's not really just a quarterback. We kind of like made him a quarterback. So he's really like an athlete, he can play anything. We just try to do our best every game.
So we had our Player of the Week show yesterday. I'm putting that up right now, editing it right now. And you're a number one guy for your performance, what you did this week. But I looked at the top 5 guys. They're all in North Louisiana. It's crazy. Like Airlines receiver Daxton, he had like 5 touchdowns. Mangum's running back had 7 touchdowns. Airlines quarterback had another 7 touchdowns. Trey Holly, broke the all-time rushing record. So what do you think about just the talent right now in North Louisiana and like them really getting a lot of skilled guys like you?
I'll say we got the best talent in North Louisiana. I'm telling you, 318 over everybody.
Yeah, I love that. I love that mentality. Anything that you're chasing after? I know that type of performance was great, even though it came in a loss, and it was impressive that you got 243 yards off 7 catches and 4 touchdowns in the game, which is absolutely insane. But just overall, what grade do you think would you give yourself in that Neville game if you had to grade your performance?
I'd probably say I give myself a B because it was a lot of more things I could have did that I couldn't, but I'll probably give myself a B.
Okay, gotcha. Any other goals you want to try to accomplish, and really overall, what do you need to do? You think you get that A+ performance at the end of the year?
I'll say go hard every play. That's something that I ain't really do last week because I was kind of fatigued, but I say go hard every play.
Yeah, man. Well, I know you're battling through some adversity right now. I know you got the stomach flu and everything going on, but I know it just happens this time of the year. But I just want to say congratulations on the performance against Neville. That you're a number 1 player of the week. This is so far week 4. Week 4 this past week. I know going week 5. So we've had you as our top player in week 4. We had a sophomore quarterback, Oak Grove's quarterback, was week 3. And then we had Ouachetall's running back week 2. So far, 3 North Louisiana guys. So y'all definitely representing the 318. But thank you, Omarion, for your time. I really appreciate it. Once again, we're going to send this to you tomorrow. We'll have this interview too, probably by the end of tomorrow. But thank you for your time and congratulations on being named. That's crazy. Another honor, Louisiana Player of the Week in week 4. Congratulations, Omarion. That's just another honor that you've had with a lot of honors over your career so far.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
No problem, man. Congratulations again, and good luck the rest of the season along the way. And in the last second, any special message to those Nebraska fans out there?
Go Big Red.
I love it. Thanks, Omarion. Appreciate it.
That was Omarion Miller, North Cal High School wide receiver and Nebraska commit. Really appreciate Coach Cavanaugh and for allowing us to have that interview and get to know Omarion a little bit. So a phenomenal young man. Was actually had to do it with a little bit of a stomach bug during the interview. So I appreciate Omarion bowing through it and doing the interview with me. So Omarion, congratulations. You are a week 4 Gridiron Football Player of the Week. And if you're a high school football coach watching this, you'll get an email or a text from me sometime later this week. If you do, make sure to send your nomination for Gridiron Football Player of the Week, as your player will be talked about on the show in some shape or form, whether it is on as an honorable mention, a top 10 player, a top 20 player, or possibly your Gridiron Football Player of the Week. So the due date is Sunday, this Sunday coming up at 6 o'clock p.m. So make sure to send in your nomination. Now, coming up next, after this commercial break, we'll have some more high school football. You're watching The Chase with Jace, brought to you by Gridiron Football.
love it when I turn up the bass. They love it when I turn up the bass. They love it when I turn up the bass.
Welcome back to The Chase with Jace. Coming up next, we have some pretty cool interviews coming up. You saw Trey Holly as a player that was on our Gridiron Football Top 20 list, and a good reason why he was on our Top 20 list. And in fact, he was in our Top 5. And Trey Holly set a record in Louisiana high school football for most rushing yards in a career. So he is the Louisiana high school football rushing king. We always talk about how many great running backs there has been in Louisiana. And that's a record. It's a longevity record for sure. Trey Holly has been running over defenses since his 8th grade year. And he is definitely deserving of the record. I talked to Coach Spatafora. I talked to Trey Holly on getting that record last Friday against Bastrop. Check out my interview with the Louisiana rushing football king, Trey Holly, an LSU commit. Check it out.
First, I'll talk with you, Coach. As far as the record coming in, I know that I think Trey needed about 247 yards. Coming to this game against Bastrop, did y'all think that this would be the game that he would beat the record?
Oh, we knew with this, on a normal night, he would have opportunities to get it. Now, whether things would get out of hand or not, and I'd have to take him out of the game, which his last series, that was it. He wasn't getting but one series in the third quarter, so whether he'd have got the record there in his last touchdown or not, I was going to end his carries, okay. And it was – and he had less carries than he had in a couple weeks. He only had 18 carries Friday, so, he took advantage of his opportunities.
And Trey, did you have an idea of where you were around with the record prior to that final drive when you scored a touchdown, or not really?
I mean, I really didn't. I was really confused when my lineman had jumped off sides. I mean, I was just playing ball. I was just trying to score touchdowns and win the football game. I mean, I really didn't know, I was that close.
Okay. So it wasn't like your teammates, every time it came to the sidelines, like, okay,
You got 89 yards left. You got 100 yards left.
Wasn't like really too worried about it either. I mean, like at the end of the day, we all just wanted to win because we talk about getting better each and every week. So they was just more focused on like getting better each week. So that's what they was more worried about. We was all more worried about getting better.
Okay. When did you first know after the touchdown that was the record? When was the first person that told you?
I knew I had did it.
Okay, so you knew it then on that. If you scored that touchdown, that was going to be it.
Yes, sir. I had a feeling he wasn't going to let me go back in anyway, so I just had to make that drive count.
You did, Coach. I know you put all the pressure on Trey that time. Like, all right, you're gonna have to. If you score here, you'll get it. But if you don't, then we're gonna have to wait till next week.
Well, actually, I called up and I said, you know what yard line we're on? We're on the 8-yard line, and I said, well, he needs 10 yards, so that's not going to work. So I actually had one of the offensive linemen jump off sides.
Oh, okay.
So it got us back to the 13-yard line, and that's where, then everybody knew, okay, something's going on. So,
okay. So you told one of the offensive linemen, because I think I heard that from, from Aaron. I think Aaron said that, or I asked you about that.
Oh, boy, I said, make sure you false start. And then, of course, he false starts and turnarounds and gives me a big thumbs up. I made him do that.
Well, Coach, that probably has been the only time in probably the history, probably of your career, that you were like just fine with that offensive lineman jumping off sides.
Yeah, no doubt. There's never. I've asked defensive linemen before I could say to jump off and do things, but offensive linemen never. No way. But that's one penalty I'll let them have.
Right.
And Trey, I mean, I can't imagine what the crowd must have been like once you scored that touchdown. What was it like just going to the sideline and you just saw a standing ovation from your home crowd?
I mean, that was crazy. I mean, because like, when I first got here, I said my goal was to break every record that's held by a running back. So, I mean, that was crazy seeing the crowd just into the game. Knowing I've been working for this ever since I was 7 years old, that's amazing.
Okay, so this has always been a goal for you to be all-time leading high school football rusher in Louisiana history.
Yes, sir, yeah.
Wow, that's unbelievable. And I know that you're committed to LSU, and there's actually a lot, like if you look at the top 5 names on that list, those are all LSU running backs. So that's something that you can say, like, whenever your career is done, you can go up to Nick Burchett and then Kenny Hilliard or whatever and say, hey, I'm on top of the record. But now you took the LSU game visit, right, the next day after the okay. So that was the first time you talked with Nick, right, after breaking the record?
For the game, he was like, go get that record. I'm rooting for you. I'm watching. So, I mean, that meant a lot to me because, like, not knowing that he's not, like, selfish saying, like, he hope I don't get it and stuff like that. He was basically telling me, go get that record. He wants somebody from LSU to do it. So, I went out and did it.
Are you still, like, shell-shocked about what you actually accomplished, knowing all the great running backs that have been through Louisiana? That's been Louisiana is known for their running backs, and for you to be on top of that list, is it still kind of like selling in for you that you beat this record?
I mean, no, sir. I mean, I celebrated Friday night, so after that, I mean, it was like basically over for me. I still feel like I got a lot to accomplish throughout my career. I still need a ring, so I mean, I won't be satisfied until I get a state championship ring.
And Coach, going back to you, this record, it defines your program to perfection, because I know that this program is built on toughness and running the football and then just holding your will against the other opponent. And this type of record, knowing that y'all built on power, running the football, controlling the line of scrimmage. I mean, what you can say about that record, not only defining Trey, but really this program and how this program is run.
Oh, no doubt about it. Since I've been here and even before I was here, this has always been a power run game ran by this school, and whoever's been here has always run it. And, our offensive linemen take a lot of pride in their yards at the end of the year, rushing yards, because if we have 1,000 passing yards, then so be it. We had a good receiver that year. But other than that, we rush for 4,000 to 5,000 a year, and those guys take a lot of pride, and you can tell they do by that. And so I think that's a big attribute to those guys and everybody who's come through here, and how all of them like to do their jobs. Those hogs up front, we call them. They like to do their jobs and make sure these backs are protected and have holes to run through.
And Trey, speaking of those big hogs up front, those big guys, I know that you really celebrated that record with them. So give a shout out to those guys for helping you break that record, because it's not only your records, but their records too.
Oh, yeah, I do. I want to shout out each and every one of those guys. The goal was to break it last year, but, I mean, it didn't happen. So I like to shout out to all those guys past 4 years, and the guys this year. I want to shout out those guys because, I mean, like, without them, I wouldn't have none of these.
Yeah, definitely. And Coach, when you saw Trey, when Trey was playing varsity for y'all in 8th grade, I knew that you knew that he was special then, but did you ever think that, if he keeps on going where he's at, that he, from his 8th grade year, they could possibly break this record?
Until Trey come along, I never had seen the record. I guess paid much attention to it. So that's big. And just going into this year's, at the end of last year's, the first, I really started saying that, well, you know what, Trey's, he's going to do what he's definitely capable of doing and what he's set out to do. So, and now we're looking at to make this and raise this bar as high as we can to where, hopefully Trey keeps this record for the rest of his life.
Right. And it came this early in the season. Like, this was week 4 when you broke the record, and you still got the rest of this regular season. You got the playoffs coming up. So I know that Nick told you, Trey, about getting that 10,000, getting that 10K. So what do you think about that and achieving that? Is that like the next, since this record's broken, what other records? I know you're trying to chase for a state championship. Anything else that you're trying to record? I think Nick Brissett may have the touchdown record still, but anything you're trying to get set?
Touchdown record. I want to try to chase that one too as well as this ring. But I mean, my overall goals, I just want to stay healthy throughout this season and prepare myself like for the next level.
Yeah, definitely. And right now, team-wise, I believe y'all 3-1, correct? I know y'all lost a really good Captain Tree football team. But right now, Coach, what do you think about this team so far through 4 games and heading to I know it's going to about district play coming up for y'all?
Oh, it's been fun watching these guys grow, from the jamboree to week 4 now and going on week 5. That young offensive line and defensive line, both sides are loaded with freshmen and sophomores. And to watch those guys improve the way they have over the last 5-6 weeks, it's been fun. And I can't wait to see where they end up as the season progresses.
Yeah, definitely. And then for you, Trey, I know you're holding a picture too, I think, right when you're coming off the field. And what was that picture?
Oh, that was my aunt and my grandpa.
Okay. So what was that picture really symbolize? What does that mean to you to really see that and have that once you got that record?
See, that picture, that meant everything to me. Knowing that they was here with me spiritually, that meant a lot to me. Knowing they was here watching me throughout my whole career, throughout this game, just watching over me, basically. So that meant a lot to me.
Yeah. So that's great. I'm happy for you, Trey. Getting that record, it couldn't come to a better player and a better human being for that matter. So definitely congratulations to you and for getting that record. And then Coach, I know that Trey has represented the program for y'all, obviously, and has been a star for y'all. But the way he carries himself, the humble approach that he brings, that's not something that you normally see from a superstar like him.
No, he's a tremendous young man in all attributes, no doubt about it. He's very humble, and he gives credit where credit is due, and he knows he's got to have teammates around him to be able to do what he's able to do, But it's a mindset, and from a young age, I knew he had it. He's got a mindset, he's got a heart, and this is what he wants to do.
And Trey, I would be remiss not to ask you about the LSU Tigers and how they look so far, and what do you like so far with Coach Brian Kelly, this new look LSU football team as they play Auburn this week. But what have you seen from the LSU Tigers so far? What do you like about them right now? Where the program?
I like how they run the ball. I like, and I see that like that fit me how they flexed the running back out wide to try to get the running back the ball as much as possible. That's what I like mostly. I like.
Yeah, they definitely feature in the running game. I know John Emery and then Noah Kane, they've all looked pretty good so far. So, and Omani good one too. So, once again, congratulations, Trey, on getting that record. I know it means a lot to you and the family, and for y'all to do it in front of the home crowd too. I know that makes it even more special. Coaches, any final thoughts just wrapping up this interview and talking about what this record really means to the community?
You know, it like I said, it's big. Not only for Trey and all these young men that's played for him and blocked for him, but this community, this parish, you know, for a school over here in Northeast Louisiana to hold this record now, I think that's big, and it's big for all of us, and it shows how hard we work and just how we put our pants on every day and get after it.
Yes, sir, indeed. Well, I appreciate both of y'all for taking the time. I know there's been a lot of publicity in regards to this record, so I definitely appreciate both of y'all taking some time with me today and talking about it. And I'll make sure to share with both of y'all so that way both of y'all will have it. And if there's anything else we can do for y'all, feel free to reach out. And once again, congratulations. And hopefully we'll be seeing y'all in the Dome in December.
All right, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all, guys. And that's it, the rushing king himself, His Majesty Trey Holly, the all-time Louisiana high school football rushing king. He's going for 10,000 yards now. He's not satisfied with the record. He wants more. He wants the state championship, and he wants the touchdown record that Nick Brissett still has. So he's gunning for that and more. He still have a lot of season left for him to try and chase that record. And that's what we like most about this show, as everybody is chasing something, and that's what Trey Holly is chasing, which is a rushing record, which he already did, and now a rushing touchdown record, and obviously a state championship before he dots the purple and gold for LSU next year. Now our next interview, this is a new segment. It is our team performance of the week, and it has to go to the Manny Tigers. This was really the #1 versus #2 team in 2A, and they bowed for it. This was like the unmovable or unstoppable force against the immovable object. Unstoppable force of Arch Manning and the Newman Greenies against the immovable object of that fierce Manny defense led by USC commit Tackett Curtis. Who went up on top? Well, check out the video as the Manny Tigers defeat the Newman Greenies 25-17, and I chat with victorious Manny head football coach Jess Curtis as the Tigers get my performance for team performance of the week. Check out my interview with Coach Curtis. It's I just want to ask you, first of all, just congratulations on the win. And this Friday, man, what an atmosphere it was. I mean, I feel like the whole city was there. I saw some of the pictures, and people were bringing their own chairs with them to the game, and just the atmosphere with the two teams, with the fireworks, with just really a sold out crowd and more. On top of that, I know you coach in the Superdome a lot, obviously, but in comparison to those games in the Superdome, Coach, what do you thought? How do you rank that atmosphere on Friday night with those games in the Superdome?
Well, we love playing in the Superdome. That's a special experience for the kids and the coaches. That never gets old. But you know, for a regular season game, I don't think we've ever touched anything like it. It was we had people on the hillside watching. I mean, it was just crazy. The atmosphere, the track was full, you know, and it was a lot of fun. Everybody handled themselves well. The two fan bases got along well. It was a well-played game. There's a lot of talent on the field. The kids just loved the experience. Kid after kids talked about how fun it was and how special that night was.
What was the challenge, Coach, of just channeling everybody's emotions for a big game like that? I know that probably was a challenge pre-game because, you know, with all the news, all the media people covering it, Archie Manning was there. So how do you just kind of contain just that excitement to a controllable level?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about it before the game and even after. You know, we want to take it for what it was, an opportunity to get better against, you know, #1 against #2 in the polls, so to speak. they presented some challenges for us, and we took it as a chance to get better. And we understood that win or lose, there was no trophy being presented after the game, and we understand that now we just kind of have to put it to bed, enjoy it, make some memories, and move forward. We got a bye week this week to heal up, and then we're gonna attack our district, 5 games of district before we attack the 5 games of the playoffs.
Yeah, it's always about the moving forward and everything. And before we go into really this week for y'all and really coming up for y'all, another thing about the game, I know we talked about before the game when I called you the other day about containing Arch Manning. That's not the easiest thing to do in the world, but what I were able to do was pretty incredible. We did talk about that he would make some plays, obviously, through 2 touchdowns, but to contain him to 8 of 20 for 80 yards, and I don't think he had a completion until the second quarter. So what was so effective for y'all defensively to able to, make it frustrating for a quarterback with his caliber?
Yeah, I mean, Arch is unbelievable. You watch him in warm-ups. You watch him when our pass rush didn't get there. He puts it on time, on the money, a lot of zip on the ball. He's a very smart kid. You can tell he's a Manning. And we saw that on film. And we're just blessed this year to have kids in our back end. They're very athletic. And we have a very good box and kids that played a lot of football and extremely fast. And, we wanted to kind of approach them a different way. We wanted to try to take away some of the throws that, that are there all the time, normally when you play coverage or shell look or something like that. We just decided to try a different approach, use our speed, try to get after him, not let him get comfortable, because when he gets comfortable, he's going to go to work and carve you up.
And I know it's hard to get comfortable when you're playing against a secondary and a defense that has your nephew Tackett and Tylen. And that big hit, I saw the big hit on social media from Tackett. Was that the first play of the ball game for y'all, or was that?
It was early in the ball game.
Okay.
It was a good play design by Nelson. Coach Stewart did a great job moving his back over there, hoping that we didn't account for him, and Tackett watched a lot of film with us this week, and he kind of, I guess, his spidey sense went off, and it was not his responsibility, but he came out of nowhere, and that's really what a lot of people haven't watched him play kind of found out the other night. He's extremely fast. He's gotten bigger and faster, and that's what makes him a little different. He's physical. Everybody's always known that, but his ability to run is what kind of sets him apart.
And that type of play is like a statement opening play just from the beginning of the game. Like, this is the type of game that we're going to be expecting to come out and get the win. And that's what y'all did. Offensively, I know another really good defensive part for y'all is actually keeping the ball away from Arch Manning. So offensively, with the style of play that you're able to do, talk about the big guys up front, obviously with Big Joe and the running backs. We know that there's great running backs in Manning High School, and talk about how Jeremiah and Omarion Garner played.
Yeah, I mean, we play complementary football here. It's one of the reasons we like to kind of control the clock. We know that, getting first downs and changing field position and letting our defense be fresh pays dividends. And it helped us big time third quarter, I thought. When they came out the second half, I was real proud of that drive because it ate up half the third quarter. It enabled us to really be fresh fourth quarter when they were trying to make their comeback, So, I can't say enough about our guys up front. You have Big Joe, and Big Joe is impressive with the way you don't see many big guys like him that can move like he can. He can play guard or tackle, could play center if he had to. So Big Joe's a big part of what we do offensively. Running backs, Jeremiah and Jamalin were really good. We had a couple passes get called back for men downfield. But, I was real proud of what we did offensively. I didn't like the last drive where we had a couple bad snaps and this and that kind of took us away from scoring that last touchdown to put them away. But other than that, I was very impressed with what we did. We had 315 yards of offense, and defense was able to hold the best quarterback in the country to about 90 yards or so.
And I know Will Randall didn't play, and that's a big factor in their offense. Did y'all know about that he would be unavailable heading to that game?
Yeah, we did, and it's unfortunate that kid. Watch him on film. Will Randall is special. He's going to have a heck of a college career and probably NFL career if he can continue to do what he's doing in high school. Just an excellent player, a great football player. Because I don't know if he's better at defensive end or tight end. Just a great player. He was one of their main weapons. You know, we were going to have Tylen on him. That would have been a great matchup. I think both kids were excited. I think one of the coaches were talking to Randall and told him our plans, and they wanted that matchup too, you know. And so, you know, it is what it is. But that kid's got a bright future.
You know, I know I would have loved to see that matchup. Everybody was talking about Arch against Tackett, obviously so, but that's not a bad side dish there to have that type of matchup too during the game. And just after the game, I know Tackett and Arch talked, and naturally so, being big recruits like they are. But was that the first time they've ever really interacted with each other?
No, you know, Tackett and Arch have texted each other a couple of times throughout the summer, congratulating each other on their commitments and kind of, you know, jabbing about the week 4 game. And you know, so there was some communication there. And then after the game, you know, it was good that both of them got to take that picture. You know, one of them flashing hook 'em horns, the other fight on, and just two good kids to do it the right way. They've done the right things for the programs and helped their programs push their programs along. And so it was neat to get to talk with them and take that picture. And I enjoyed, again, going head-to-head against Nelson Stewart. I think he's one of the better coaches in our state. He's classy from the word go, runs a great program. He loves Newman. And so it was really neat to get to play against him, and there's tons of respect there.
Yeah, and Newman had a chance at the very end, too. I believe they had the football back. I think they had a goal line stand to give them a chance at the end. And y'all defense, y'all started the game with a big tone setter, and y'all finished it, too. So what do you think about just wrapping this game up, talking about this game, how your defense was able to get that last stop?
Yeah, it was big. I mean, you think about it. Heck, the last thing you want to do is give Arch Manning the ball, you know, another shot. But, you know, we had him hemmed in 99. He had to go 99 yards and no timeouts. Then it was just about continuing to do what we do, you know, making sure we tackle after the passes there, because he's going to put it on him. I mean, it's just he sets that back foot, the ball's coming out. And I was just proud we were able to finish the game, because I expected it to come down to something like that. You know, whether we had the ball last or they did, I felt like it was going to be at top of the game. They're too well coached, and they're too good.
Well, we've seen this battle over the years with, you know, like the immovable object versus the unstoppable force, and this was that type of football game. And it just comes to show you defenses, they just win football games, and that's what we are able to do to extend the winning streak.
Well, that's what I love. You know, I'm a defensive guy, and I'm just blessed to have great kids and a great staff. You know, shout out to my coordinators, Tommy Hall on offense and Tyler Hassel on defense. Did a great job of helping us get these game plans together to have this 4-0 start against, you know, 2 5A teams, a 4A team, and then Newman. So, you know, it's been good for us, a good start. Now we got to keep our focus and hopefully continue this on.
Yeah, very impressive. I know before this game, y'all gave up only 1 touchdown in 3 games. Y'all played some 5A programs. This was impressive. And then only give up 2 touchdowns to Newman in that offense. I'm not sure what's even more impressive of the two. So moving forward, Coach, I know you said that there was a bye week this week. So I know that probably came at a really good time based on the early schedule that y'all had. Non-district. So going to district play, coming off a big win like it was against Newman, what's just been the message of those guys, just to keep focus and just put what happened before this week behind you.
That's it. I mean, it's about keep your focus. I mean, we always break our season down to blocks. We've gone through our non-district block, and we went through it 4-0 and challenged every week. It was kind of set up to be like a playoff system, where we had to get better each week and get challenged. And now we get to go to district, and we take that serious. I mean, we haven't lost a district game since 2013, I believe. And so we want to make sure that we continue that on as well, set ourselves up with a good seed and get ready for the playoffs. So, you know, I told the kids, haven't done anything yet unless that was their goal to go 4-0 and beat Newman. And while we wanted to do that, that's not the end goal for us.
Well, we know that y'all followed up with after losing the state championship the next year, and we know what happens after that when you won your state championship. So I know I know I don't want to play the comparison game right now, but at this part of the season, how does this team compare to some of those championship teams that you had at this point in the season?
It's very comparable. I mean, this defense is special, and again, I kind of challenged them with that in the offseason. I knew we'd be very talented, but sometimes, you get talent. Sometimes they think they know it all and think that they're there. And they heard my message on that. You're never there. The moment you stop getting better, you start getting worse. And so these guys have really pushed the envelope, and they remind me a lot of the 2014 team. Those two defenses were lights out. And, the 2014 defense always took it personally. They didn't care about the score. They cared about yardage. They cared about, first downs they gave up. They basically played against themselves, this, I challenged this defense with that, and they've done that the first part of the year. Offensively, we're still that same power offense. We've got tons of running backs. We're just kind of letting them get a taste here early on, kind of seeing what running back can do what, and so we're happy where we're at. We think we compare favorably to the 2014, 2020 team. But, hey, we got to go get it done. And I said, we've had a lot of great teams here. You don't want to be with the ones that came up just short. You want to be with those two that are standing up there on the side of the field house, 2014, 2020.
Yeah, we'll see what happens down the road. And, Coach, one more thing before we wrap it up. Since it is a Gridiron football top team performance of the week, any other players that you feel like were deserving to be mentioned for their performance and y'all getting the win against Newman?
Yeah, real proud, like the defense. Anytime you hold somebody to 90 yards, that's as good as Newman. I really want to kind of brag on that box, which was Swayze Carhill and Ja'Cory and Smart. Jay Smart playing cornerback was on their best receiver. Trent Williams, who played some running back and some strong safety for us. Ked Gozy, Garrett Culverson, Keaton Montgomery. Just Blake Mackin. Just I kind of want to name those guys because, again, it's a unit. A lot of those guys, Tackett, Tylen, rightfully so, get a lot of pub. But, we got some really good players that some of these schools are starting to take notice of.
Well, I think they know us now after that performance too, in front of a lot of people. A lot of eyes were on that game, and y'all stood up and y'all played a well football game. So congratulations on the victory, Coach. And I'm sure we'll be talking later this season. So congratulations on the win, and enjoy the bye week. Enjoy the rest this week.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Jace. Thanks for everything you guys do.
Yes, sir. Anytime, Coach. Have yourself a good one, Coach.
You too.
Yes, sir. Bye. And one more high school segment left to go, and this was the game I went to last week. This was the Dunham Tigers. They took on Ascension Catholic. Ascension Catholic came in a 3-0 record. Meanwhile, Dunham Tigers were 2-1. These are two evenly matched teams, and of course, it was a great finish. Check out who won this classic of a matchup between the Dunham Tigers and the Ascension Catholic Bulldogs.
First down Bulldogs at the 36. Big stop right there for number 49, Garrett Cook. Down goes Leonard. 11, Rizzo on the sack. Along with they're all 37. Pass intercepted. Sione Albert. Big play. Sione Albert, number 34 for a first down. Dunham. Your Dunham Tigers 14, Ascension Catholic 7. Here come the Tigers. First and 10, Dunham at the 13. Jackson House! Jackson House! Allen ball! Touchdown! Dunham Tigers! Allen Bolt! 5 yards for the touchdown!
They're getting inside the 5, man. They're going in the end zone.
House's pass intercepted. Dunham 15-yard line. And go Tigers!
Slinging here from Gridiron Football, here with the victorious Dunham head football coach Neil Weiner. And Coach Weiner, I mean, wow, what a game it was, what a finish it was. Probably closer at the end than what you expected, but just talk about how your defense made a stop when it mattered most on that two-point conversion play at the end.
That was what a great play call for them. The old Statue of Liberty looked like the Boise Fiesta Bowl. And they had about half the defense on that side full for sure. And luckily we had some guys that stayed at home and were physical. That was a big stop right there. Our offense really kind of put our defense in a bind a couple of times. And then we had the bad snap on the punt. And but our defense kept answering, every time the bell rang. And I think we had 4 interceptions. And we forced some fumbles. I don't think we recovered them, but we forced some fumbles, and that made a big difference.
And talk about your defense, too. I know we rave about the defensive line, and truly so, because they stepped up and made a lot of plays. But, man, the play of Colin Bolt tonight, I mean, he just did everything on both sides of the ball. What do you have to say about Colin's performance here tonight?
So we moved Colin to play running back this year. He's never done that before, and, man, it just takes a lot out. You're taking a pounding. He likes to deliver the hits more. And so we intentionally made sure Mason Wild could play some running back for him and give him a little more energy, and I think it made a big difference. He had a couple of big hits. He had a great hit and stripped the ball, and they ended up losing about 15 on it. He was all over the field. He had an interception, I believe. Just did a fantastic job.
I know it's been a pretty good couple of days for the House family, especially last week, the Mississippi State game as well. But, I mean, your quarterback's just as tough as he comes, and whether he's running the football, throwing the football, he does whatever it takes for y'all to win. He's just a gamer. Just what do you think about him?
He's a winner. He finds ways to get the job done every single week. This week we had a little bit more success throwing the ball, but he had some huge runs for us in the first half, and then in the third quarter, opening the second half, was a great drive with him leading the way. He's just a tough kid, really smart, but just what a competitor, and we're just really happy he's our quarterback.
And lastly, Coach, any other shout-out that you'd like to give to anybody else that you feel like have played a phenomenal game for y'all in order to get the victory against a very tough Ascension Catholic team?
Absolutely. Lewis Phillips and Sione Albert, 2 junior defensive players. Both of them play inside linebacker. We can move Lewis down to defensive line. Today, he had 2 or 3 sacks, or at least tackles for loss. Both of them were tremendous. I think Sione had 2 interceptions, and just a great job by those guys.
And final question, I got one more for you, Coach, and that is y'all 3-1 right now, correct?
Yes.
And y'all improve to 3-1. So moving forward, what you like from your guys, and what y'all think you need to improve on moving forward?
Yeah, I think just consistency, especially on the offensive side of the ball. You know, we'll have a good drive and then we'll have a 3 and out. We've just been a little inconsistent there. A lot of that is just timing and having everybody healthy. We had some guys that were sick the weeks before. This week we had some folks that were out early in the week, and that just disrupts the time a little bit. But I think we'll improve every single week that we get to play together.
Congratulations on the win, Coach. I know Ascension Catholic is always very tough, and it was a tough earned win. So congratulations. Enjoy with your team, Coach.
Thank you, Jay.
I hope you enjoyed that segment as my game of the week last week, and I'm still trying to figure out what my game will be this week, this Thursday, as I do have a game to call for Episcopal on Friday. I'm going to wrap up the show here. The Chase with Jace has been a busy week for us, so not really going deep, not going to talk a lot about the NFL and college this week just because there's a lot going on with the show, but make sure to tune in to The Chase with Jace every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. It's on Facebook. It's on YouTube. Check out all my articles this week, too. We obviously talk about LSU. You check out my takeaways from the New Mexico win and moving forward in a big SEC road game for the LSU Tigers against Auburn. And then we'll have LSU Auburn coverage the rest of the week. I write an article about Trey being the all-time leading rusher in Louisiana high school football history. And we have some more content for you. Make sure to check us out at GridironFootballUSA.com. And also for the Gridiron Football All-American game coming up at the end of December. If you are a high school football player, expect a DM or like a notification from us because round 2 of invites are actually coming already. They've been through Facebook. We're actually uploading through Twitter right now. Myself and the interns are actually going to be uploading the invites on Twitter. So if you want to play in this football game, I would definitely jump on the opportunity once you get a notification from us. So hopefully y'all enjoyed the show. And we'll be here back next week, next Wednesday. We'll talk with Marcus Randall about the Auburn game. We have some more coverage of Louisiana high school football and more. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the show. Thank y'all for watching, and we'll see you next time on The Chase with Jace. And as I mentioned before, what are you chasing for? As I'm chasing to make this show even bigger and better. And Trey Holly, you know, he's chasing the rushing record, which he did. So everybody's chasing something. What are you chasing for? Hope everybody has a good night, and we'll see y'all next Wednesday night.